Welcome back in the final part of our special coverage on the second anniversary of the Al-Aqsa Flood Operation on the 7th of October. I'm now joined by two experts and analysts, Hussein Kobesi, postdoctoral fellow in the West Asian Studies, joining us from Beijing University in Beijing, and also Reza Vedadi, academic researcher and author, joining us from London. Very good to have you on the program. It's a pleasure to have you on this occasion of the Al-Aqsa Flood Operation, the second anniversary. I'm going to start with Mr. Hussein Kobesi, who's joining us from Beijing. Well, how do you think the Al-Aqsa Flood Operation and the aftermath has reshaped the geopolitical landscape of the region?
Yeah, thanks for having me. There's so many changes. This is something that I'm looking into every day as part of my current research. Well, one of the major things which your program, as I've been following on standby, has been highlighting is the major transformation in world awareness and public opinion about the question of Palestine, the Israeli occupation, and ethnic cleansing and apartheid in Palestine. And I think significantly the changes that are happening on the level of public opinion in Europe, and especially, if you like, in the Zionist backyard in the United States, which even Trump now is, publicly, warning his buddy Netanyahu that, look, we need to refurbish this. We need to re-examine how this appears to the rest of the world. At least better late than never, I guess. But that's 2 years of abhorrent genocidal slaughter and destruction in Gaza has actually moved these leaders to actually think about how they could reframe this. But of course, it's also thanks to the perseverance and the resistance of the people of Gaza.
Right. I'm going to talk now to Reza. Reza, you're joining us from London, and that is at the heart of the collective West. And we're witnessing more and more rallies in support of people of Palestine and Gaza in there and throughout the Western world. How do you think the events of the 7th of October has changed the perception of the Western people towards the idea of Palestine and Israel?
So I believe the Operation Al-Aqsa Flood has had four major impacts on the world, not just the West. It has brought the occupation of Palestine to the forefront of the world attention, and we see that through protests across the world. It has clearly shown without ambiguity the nature of apartheid and genocidal regime of the Israeli colonization system that has been set up. This was evident from the last 70 years, but it was hidden through using Hollywood, Western media, politics, and NGOs, but now it's become bare. Everyone can see that. Thirdly, it has proven the double standard. The Al-Aqsa Flood has proven the double standards and hypocritical nature of Western governments towards both human rights and the Genocidal Convention, where when it suits them, they abide by the conventions of human rights and genocide convention. When it doesn't suit them, they completely support Israel. And fourth and final, I would say, it has laid bare the difference between truth and falsehood. This is a very, how can you say it, easy statement to make, but it's become very clear for people, Muslim and non-Muslim, that now we see the truth of what the Iranian government or the Iranian have been saying for the past 40, 50 years. And those who've been resistant, either through Lebanon, through Iraq, through Yemen, or Palestine, resisting the Israeli colonization, has become clear what the truth and falsehood is. So I think these four things are the main impact of that Al-Aqsa flood, and they've reverberated around the world, in my opinion.
Right, I want to continue on the same line with, of course, with Mr. Hussein Kobesi. Can you tell me, are we witnessing a growing divide between the Western governments and their populations regarding their policies towards West Asia?
Yeah, I think it's clear that the streets in Europe, the streets of the United States, the major cities, we're seeing a major shift. And I think a lot of it as well is happening online. just spending some time on social media, especially sites like X, which have a certain level of freedom, we can see the discourse is radically changing, and things that were unthinkable in the past, are being said today, are being articulated. I don't want to go into names, but there's some major figures that are leading the way in this, or are representative of this transformation. The Charlie Kirk story as well is quite representative of this major shift in the United States, for instance. So there is really radical change happening as we speak. And I think it's thanks to the perseverance of the people of Gaza and the people in the region. If they had surrendered like, other regimes in the Arab and Islamic world, or if they remained silent, or if they accepted to just relinquish their rights, then it wouldn't have given time for people across the world to understand this kind of global system of, oppressive mechanisms to control and dominate people.
Right, Mr. Reza Vedadi, I'm going to continue the conversation with you. I'm going to talk about the role of the international community. Do you believe that the problem-solving mechanisms, whatever they are, within the international bodies have adapted to the realities of post-October the 7th?
No, I think the October 7th has brought about, has demonstrated the realities to Western citizens, and proven what the global South has always really believed. For example, we talk about human rights sanctions. Just a couple of days ago, the FIFA organization decided not to sanction Israel. However, the United States government decided to sanction Iranian Football Federation and not allow them to participate in the World Cup draw, which is one of the rights of the winning nations. We saw, for example, that a person like Netanyahu has got a warrant out, international warrant out for his arrest for genocide, and is easily able to come to the UN and speak, even though many people left. The president or the leader of the Palestinian Authority was not allowed to come. So there's a lot of contradictions in the world that has become laid bare, as I stated in the previous comment, were these 4 points. One of them is this global order that the West has proclaimed to be what's maintaining the order of the world. It was never an order of the world. It was never a legal, international, and fair system. It was always the powerful West pushing down onto the global South, and we see that's changing. The Al-Aqsa Flood demonstrated the Israeli military might is a myth. A small group of people entered and fought the Israelis, and for 2 years, without any support from outside, they've managed to defend their lands. The Israelis are not able to occupy that land without losing soldiers. And this is with the might of the largest army in the world, the United States, with all the political support, all the military and economic support. The Israelis have not been able to do that. They were not able to defeat Lebanon. They were not able to defeat Yemen. They were not able to defeat Iran. So this whole project has started to demonstrate this Al-Aqsa flood, that it's a myth that the West abides by rules that it set up itself, and it's falling apart, and the power is shifting towards the East. And we've discussed this before. I've discussed it before on Press TV.
Right, and Mr. Kobesi, one final question, as we are very pressed for time here, about 1 minute. Well, of course, we are into the second day of the Cairo negotiations regarding a ceasefire. What's your perception of that? How do you predict things are going to unfold?
Yeah, very quickly. It's difficult to really predict. I mean, who knows what's in the mind of Donald Trump? I think sometimes he doesn't know what's in his mind. But it seems that he is increasingly conscious of the fact that the optics and the international image of Israel, and by extension its main enabler, the United States, is in dire consequences. Trump and his base inside the United States is increasingly breaking apart, and he is very conscious of that. So if anything, this is an indication that the situation towards some sort of ceasefire maybe end of genocide campaign, but not total cessation of hostilities from the Israeli side. This is my prediction, something that looks like Lebanon perhaps, and whether it happens in the next couple of days or weeks, really I can't predict this. But there's so much pressure today on the Trump administration to actually make a move on this.
Right. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your contribution to our program and this special coverage. Mr. Of course, let me once again thank my guest, Mr. Hussein Kobesi, postdoctoral fellow, joining me from Beijing. He's a postdoctoral fellow in West Asian Studies in Beijing University, and also Mr. Reza Vedadi, academic researcher and author, joining us from London. Thank you both. And to our viewers, as we come to the conclusion of this special coverage on the second anniversary of the Al-Aqsa Flood Operation, let us all remember and never forget that the truth will always come out. Thank you. I am Bahman Rai.